morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Ray Niles, and I'm the designer behind Red Barn Samplers. You've stumbled into my 9th episode, and I'm so excited to be able to share with you about my exclusive market release for Nashville next week, as well as share a couple thank yous for the folks in the industry that continue to support Red Barn Samplers. And lastly, remind you a little bit about how you might be interested in securing for you a personal copy from Whitney Antiques for your own reference library collection. So before we get too far into it, I want to go ahead and do a couple thank yous. And specifically, the thank yous for this episode go out to Van Accessible. Van Accessible just continues to be a supporter and a champion for Red Barn Samplers, and left a great YouTube comment, as well as Shindy4 and Knit for continued support, as well as Knit and Stitch J&M on Instagram, as well as episode 33. They did a little shout out for Red Barn Samplers, and I'm so appreciative of that. So thank you, and thank you for that continued support. Also, a shout out to the Nevada Stitcher. The Nevada Stitcher continues to be a champion for Red Barn Samplers with lots of encouragement and a couple shout outs for her as well. And then last but not least, I want to thank a new fabric dyer, and it's Jody from Cedar River Linen. And if you've not checked out Cedar River Linen, you must. It is absolutely beautiful. Not only are the colors just wonderful, it feels really good in the hand as well. So whether you're stitching with a hoop or your hand stitcher, it's got a great feel to it in the hand. So thank you, Jody, for your kindness and your generosity around that. I'm really excited to be able to use her fabric in some of my upcoming releases. So thank you for that. Also, I want to shout out a gal off of Instagram that I met when we were together at the Sampler Symposium. And that is, it's listed under S_stitching. And she actually finished a little pin keep that I had given out, a chart for those in attendance at the Sampler Symposium. And as you can see from her work, it is absolutely beautiful and just the right size to be able to stick into your traveling kit when you are heading out to a retreat, or if you're just stitching in the car and you need a place to secure your pins or to attach to your scissor fob. So a big thank you to those individuals as they continue to support Red Barn Samplers, and specifically those women that are out there championing every day the work that's being done for the little girls who stitched those samplers. Also, a reminder, if you've watched a couple of my other episodes, you'll know that my goal is to get to 4,000 subscribers. And if you are one of those individuals that are watching this and you've not subscribed, I would encourage you to do so. When we get to 4,000 subscribers, I have two things I'll be giving away. One is a book from Whitney Antiques, and it's called Samplers and Historic Embroideries. So it's a great addition to anyone's reference library. It's got beautiful pictures in here as well as kind of descriptions around that. So if you're interested in being included in that drawing when we hit 4,000 subscribers, just add the word Whitney, WITNEY, in the comments. I'll be giving away a copy of this book, as well as a copy of the book called Stitched in Adversity. Again, just another lovely book from Whitney Antiques. I'm super excited to be able to, I'm looking forward actually to being able to go to Whitney Antiques later this year. So these books have extra special meaning to me because it's actually someplace I'm going to be attending. I do have extra copies, and if you are anywhere in the world and you're the name that we draw when you put down the word Whitney, when we hit 4,000, I will be happy to mail these to you no matter where you live. So again, if you're interested in being included in the drawing, once we hit 4,000, the magic word is Whitney. So make sure you're adding your comment down below. So again, this is going to be a pretty short episode this week because I am frantically getting ready for market next week, and through the gracious kindness of a woman named Linda Vinson, who's Needle Made Designs, she has offered to share room 503 with me, which I was not expecting, and I'm so grateful. And so I will be sharing her room at market, which means that in the last 2.5 to 3 weeks, I've been going crazy, just trying to make sure that I have everything done that needs to be done. And in doing so, I thought it would be appropriate to go ahead and have a Nashville Market Exclusive. So if you're interested in my Nashville Market Exclusive, lean in and I'll tell you a little bit about this beauty. So I've chosen to make Ann McDonald 1788 my Nashville exclusive, which means that you won't be able to get her unless you pre-order through a shop before May. I'm not going to have her released until May. So if it's something you want before then, definitely pre-order with your local needlework shop and they'll be able to secure a copy for you. So let me tell you a little bit about Ann McDonald and why I love this sampler, and a little bit more about a sampler that was stitched when the United States of America was only a dozen years old. Now, if you think about that, that's kind of crazy, right? As a country, we were 12 years old when Ann McDonald stitched this. Let me tell you a little bit about Ann McDonald. Well, the same year that Ann McDonald stitched this band sampler was the same year that 11 ships from the First Fleet of Botany Bay landed in what later would become Sydney, Australia. It's also the first permanent European settlement on that continent, and at that same year, the United States of America would have been 12 years old. Anne was 8 years old when she chose to stitch her sampler, and much like little girls today, there's some quirkiness to it that would be very familiar to those of us that have children or grandchildren, and I'm going to point those out to you as well. We know that Anne, she put some baubles in there in her stitching, and I'll show you what those baubles look like. Maybe she secured seashells. Maybe she secured a favorite feather from an animal or fur or from a bird. We don't really know for sure, but they're kind of bobbly. They're kind of like a wadded up mess in the sampler. Also want you to know that when I acquired the sampler, I had access to the back. So I chose to match the colors for my sampler reproduction using the colors off the back, and they are spot on. Also, those colors are available in DMC, which is what I stitched the model in, as well as SWA 103. There are some specialty stitches in this that could be substituted with cross stitch, but the specialty stitch include rice stitch and Algerian eye, and I'll point those out to you as well. You'll be able to see those here in just a minute. Also, when I acquired the sampler, the top row had been cut, and I know she didn't stitch that close. There's just no way. It looks like it was cut at the top either to fit into a frame, or maybe there was some damage and whoever owned it before me had cut it off, but I'll show that to you as well. Additionally, what I found out about Anne, I did find Anne, and y'all know me pretty well by now. For me, that detective work, that sleuthing, that historical tracking down of the individual is something that I absolutely love. And what I found out about Anne is that she was born to Terence and Betty Wheelwright McDonald. And she was born December 18th in 1744. And she was the second child to that union that I can find. And she was also what I would probably call a bonus baby, because her brother at the time was 14 years older than she was. So maybe Anne was a blessing that they never thought they were going to have, and they ended up having a daughter. So that kind of makes the sampler even that much more special to me. There's very little information about Anne once she grows up. I can't find who she married. I don't know what happened to her, but I do know that Anne was born 14 years after Terence and Betty got married. And I don't know if Anne ever married. I don't know really what happened to her, but I do know that her stitching lives on, and that her sampler, while I don't know anything about her personally, I know what her needlework was like. So let me show you what that looks like. And again, this is a pretty big band sampler. And you'll see that a couple things. Let me turn it this way, and let's go this way. You'll see across the top here where you can tell it was cut. It was cut in a way that whoever did it was not very secure with their scissors. It's kind of jaggedy. You'll also see, I believe there's 36 or 37 bands. I love that she included what I think is a pair of scissors here. I think that's a pair of scissors. Again, I could be wrong. If you think it's something else, please let me know. She also has these items here, which kind of look like flags to me. Again, I don't know what they are for sure. And here is the first bauble. This bauble looks like a wadded up, the biggest French knot I've ever seen, put it that way. And then she has another bauble down here. Now, she could have used those to secure something to her sampler. I'm just not sure. You can also see it's very coarse, most likely homespun. Again, very, very coarse ground cloth. And you'll also notice the thing that I find most endearing is if you look at what was written. It says, and the, and you'll notice the is capitalized, and the daughter. She ran out of space with the word daughter, and she put the R right up here, just like the rest of us would do if we ran out of space on a note card. So Anne, the daughter of Terrence and Betty, and again, she didn't capitalize Betty McDonald, made this work in the 8th year of her age, 1788. And then this down below is this beautiful rice stitch that's just so beautiful. I, as a designer, made a decision when I stitched my model, because as I've said before, I don't really want to stitch anything I wouldn't hang in my own home. And I felt like this needed balance. So let me back up here. I actually charted this same row and put it up here at the very top. You can do it as you wish. I included a copy in the chart of the original sampler. I also charted the baubles, these wonky little gigantic French knots. I charted those. I personally chose to leave them out of my model, but you can do with it as you wish. And let me show you what the model looks like. I love the colors. Like I said before, I grabbed these off the back and they are spot on. You'll also see where I tried to provide balance by adding the same row at the top, and then it matches identically down below. And then I did not include the baubles, but I did do daughter, and I did daughter, so it goes up. And the scissors are right here. But I love this. I love that Anne was able to share a little bit of herself with the rest of us. And knowing that this was over 250 years ago is pretty profound to me. And I'm hoping that you find her as delightful as well. Like I said, I stitched her in DMC, and I think the colors are just brilliant. And it's a great time of the day here at my house. So what you're seeing on the screen is very true to color. And I love those extra stitches up there. If you've not done those, they're very easy. I also include in the chart a very simple graph on how to do it. Same way with the Algerian eyes or the eyelet stitch down below. But if you're looking for a band sampler, let me tell you what this one actually measures. It is 85 inches wide. It is 85 stitches wide and 272 stitches high. I stitched it on 36 count vintage beeswax from R&R Reproductions. And if you don't want to do the rice stitch and you don't want to do the Algerian eyelet, you can always do those with regular cross stitch as well. So again, here's one more picture of it. I absolutely love it. I hope that you do as well. And just a friendly reminder that if this is something you would like, definitely reach out to your local needlework shop and they'll be able to pick it up for you at Nashville Market. And again, I'll point this out on this chart. You can also see my mother's jar. So if you've not been with us on this entire journey, if you go back and watch a couple episodes back, you'll notice where I explain about making sure that my mother's jar is included in all of my charts. So a big thank you to the folks that are out there that continue to support Red Barn Samplers. And make sure if you want a copy, you grab a copy through your local needlework shop. So I know I'm kind of short tonight. I've got lots to do, but I just want to thank you all for dialing in. Thank you for your continued support. And may your floss never twist. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.